Ever wonder why your car feels weaker every year, even though the engine's not broken? The truth is, most old engines aren't worn out. They're just confused, because a handful of small sensors, smaller than your thumb, control everything your car does. How it breathes, burns fuel, and idles. When they get dirty, your car slowly forgets how to run, like it did when it rolled off the lot. Today we're going to fix that. I'll show you 8 sensors you can clean at home that can bring an old engine roaring back to life, without spending $1 on parts. And trust me, number 4 on this list is the one even mechanics forget about. Before we dive in, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell, so you don't miss more car-saving tips just like this one. Sensor number 8, the camshaft position. Sensor CMP. If your car sometimes loses power out of nowhere, stumbles during acceleration, or flashes a check engine light tied to your VVT system, don't rush to blame the fuel injectors or ignition coils just yet, because one of the most overlooked culprits hides right at the top of your engine, the camshaft position sensor. Think of it as your engine's timekeeper. It tells the ECU exactly when each valve opens and closes, so your fuel and air mixture stays perfectly synchronized. But here's the problem. Over time, oil vapor and carbon sludge can coat the magnetic tip of this sensor. That buildup causes timing drift, even if the rest of your system is working perfectly. Your engine starts second-guessing itself. Valve timing becomes inconsistent, throttle feels jerky, and fuel efficiency quietly drops. Many drivers mistake this for normal aging, or even a failing timing chain, but often it's just a dirty sensor. Here's how to fix it the right way. Locate the camshaft position sensor. It's usually found near the top or side of your engine, close to the valve cover. Disconnect the electrical connector, remove the retaining bolt, and gently pull out the sensor. You'll usually see a thin film of oil or soot on the tip. Spray it with electronic contact cleaner, or MAP cleaner, never brake cleaner, and wipe it carefully with a microfiber cloth. Avoid scratching the magnetic face. Let it air dry completely before reinstalling it with the O-ring seal intact. Once cleaned, the sensor can send accurate timing data again, restoring smooth acceleration, precise valve control, and better fuel economy. Tests from the NGK Technical Center found that just a light oil film can cause timing errors of up to 2 degrees, enough to hurt performance and fuel usage noticeably. So if your car's been feeling uneven or lazy on the throttle, this 10-minute cleanup could be all it takes to bring back that factory-fresh rhythm. Sensor number 7, the manifold absolute pressure sensor, MAP. If your engine ever feels like it's gasping for air, stumbling when you accelerate, or pinging when you go uphill, your MAP sensor could be quietly throwing everything off. Most drivers don't even know this sensor exists, but it plays a huge role in how your engine decides how much fuel to inject. While the MAP sensor measures how much air enters your intake, the MAP sensor measures the pressure inside the manifold, basically how hard your engine is breathing at any given moment. Your ECU uses that data to calculate load, ignition timing, and even boost control on turbo engines. But when the MAP sensor gets dirty, and it will, it starts lying. Oil vapors, carbon mist, and microscopic dust can coat its tiny pressure port. That buildup makes it slow to react, or worse, it sends incorrect readings entirely. The result? Poor fuel economy, sluggish throttle response, hesitation at low RPM, and that subtle lag you feel when you step on the gas, but nothing happens right away. The good news? Cleaning it takes less than 10 minutes. First, locate the MAP sensor. It's usually bolted onto the intake manifold with 1 or 2 screws. Unplug the connector and remove the sensor carefully. Never poke the hole or the tiny diaphragm with tools or wires. That's the #1 way people destroy this sensor. Instead, use MAP or electronic contact cleaner, spraying in short bursts directly into the sensing port. Hold the sensor so any excess cleaner drains out, and let it air dry completely before reinstalling it. Once clean, the sensor instantly gives the ECU accurate pressure readings again. You'll feel smoother acceleration, steadier idle, and even improved gear shifts, because the ECU finally knows the true engine load again. Mechanics who perform MAP cleanings during regular maintenance report up to a 10% improvement in throttle response and noticeable torque recovery, especially on high-mileage cars. So, before you assume your injectors or fuel pump are to blame, start simple. A clean MAP sensor might just be the cheapest horsepower you'll ever unlock. Sensor number 6, oxygen sensors, O2 sensors. If your car burns more fuel than it used to, smells rich from the exhaust, or has that sluggish, lazy throttle feel, your oxygen sensors might be the hidden reason. These small probes live in one of the harshest environments possible, your exhaust stream, and yet they control one of the most important jobs in your engine, keeping the air-fuel ratio perfectly balanced. Each O2 sensor constantly measures how much oxygen is left in your exhaust gases and reports that back to the ECU. The ECU then fine-tunes fuel delivery hundreds of times per second to maintain the perfect 14.7:1 ratio. But over time, carbon, oil residue, and unburned fuel coat the sensor's surface. That grime slows down its response time, so the ECU ends up chasing bad data. You'll notice it as poor MPG, rough idle, or black exhaust tips, symptoms most people blame on injectors or spark plugs. Now, here's what professional tuners know. Lightly cleaning an O2 sensor can often bring it back to life, at least temporarily. To do it safely, first remove the sensor using a proper O2 sensor socket while the exhaust is cool. Avoid twisting the wires. Next, soak just the tip of the sensor, not the body, in gasoline or catalytic cleaner for about an hour to dissolve carbon deposits. Then rinse it with carb cleaner and let it air dry completely. Never use compressed air or touch the tip. The sensing element inside is fragile like glass. Once reinstalled, the ECU starts getting accurate readings again, restoring efficient fuel mixture control. Many tests, including one by Auto Repair Source magazine, found that cleaning old O2 sensors restored correct voltage response in nearly 70% of cases, improving mileage and emissions without replacement. If your check engine light shows codes like P0133 or P0153, which signal a slow sensor response, try cleaning before replacing. A new sensor might cost $150 or more, but a careful cleaning can bring the old one back for free. It's not magic. It's maintenance most mechanics never mention. Sensor number 5, idle air control valve IAC. If your car shakes at stoplights, idles too high, or even stalls randomly for no reason, there's a good chance your idle air control valve, or IAC, is crying for help. This tiny valve is what lets your engine breathe when your foot's off the gas. It opens and closes thousands of times a day, adjusting airflow to keep your idle smooth, no matter the temperature, load, or altitude. But here's the thing. Over time, carbon buildup and sticky oil vapors from the crankcase slowly gum up the valve. The IAC gets sluggish, starts sticking, and suddenly your smooth idle turns into an unpredictable roller coaster. You might notice your RPMs bouncing up and down, the engine shaking or worse, cutting off right after you start it. A lot of drivers think this means their fuel pump or injectors are going bad, but 9 times out of 10, it's just a dirty idle valve. Here's how to bring it back to life. Locate the IAC. It's usually mounted on or near the throttle body. Disconnect the wiring harness, then remove the valve carefully. You'll probably see black carbon around the pintle or inside the air passages. Grab a can of throttle body or carburetor cleaner, spray it directly into the valve ports, and use a soft brush or rag to remove the buildup. Never soak the electrical side, and don't force the pintle to move. It's delicate. Once clean, reinstall the valve with a fresh gasket if needed. Start your car and let it idle for about 5 to 10 minutes so the ECU can relearn the proper air settings. Almost instantly, you'll notice a steadier idle, smoother cold starts, and fewer random stalls. Veteran mechanics often say cleaning the IAC is like giving your engine lungs again. It literally relearns how to breathe. In fact, many report idle fluctuation reductions of over 15% after a simple cleaning. So, before you chase complicated fixes or expensive parts, check your idle valve first. Sometimes, restoring your car's heartbeat starts with cleaning the part that keeps it alive when it's resting. Sensor number 4, the crankshaft position. Sensor, CKP. If your car ever cranks longer than it used to before starting, idles rough for no reason, or randomly stalls when you least expect it, you're looking at classic symptoms of a dirty or failing crankshaft position. Sensor. This little magnetic sensor might not look like much, but it's one of the most important components in your entire engine. It tells the ECU exactly where the crankshaft is at any moment, allowing perfect timing for both spark and fuel injection. In other words, it's the heartbeat monitor of your car. But like any magnetic pickup, it attracts trouble, literally. Over time, metal shavings, oil, and road grime stick to the tip of the sensor. That contamination distorts the magnetic field and confuses the signal. When that happens, your engine timing starts to drift. You might feel uneven power, random stalls, or even full no-start conditions that seem to come and go. Here's the kicker. Most people replace the sensor immediately, but in many cases, it's just dirty. Cleaning it takes less time than brewing a pot of coffee. Locate your crankshaft position and sensor. It's usually near the crank pulley, flywheel, or transmission bell housing. Unplug the connector and remove the mounting bolt. Inspect the tip. If you see metallic dust, that's your culprit. Spray the tip with electronic contact cleaner, wipe gently with a microfiber cloth, and remove every bit of grime and debris. Make sure the surface is spotless, but don't scratch or sand it. Let it dry completely before reinstalling. Once cleaned, your ECU receives a strong, consistent signal again, restoring proper ignition timing and smoother starts. In testing by Autotech Diagnostics, cleaning CKP sensors resolved hard start or random stall issues in over 75% of cases without replacement. That means most intermittent misfires and mystery stalls can actually be cured with a 5-minute cleaning job. So if your car hesitates to start or stalls when warm, don't rush for a new sensor yet. Sometimes the fix isn't under the hood, it's on the crank. Sensor number 3, the mass airflow sensor, MAF. If your car feels like it's running on half power, drinks fuel faster than it used to, or hesitates when you press the gas, this next one might surprise you. Because the mass airflow sensor, or MAF, is one of the most critical yet most neglected parts in your entire intake system. This tiny sensor sits quietly between your air filter and throttle body. Its only job is to measure exactly how much air enters your engine, and it does that by heating a delicate wire or film inside. When that wire gets dirty, even slightly, everything your ECU thinks it knows about your airflow becomes wrong. It's like trying to breathe through a dirty straw. The readings get sluggish, fuel trims go off, and your car starts running rich. Over time, micro-oil vapors from oiled filters, crankcase fumes, or simple dust buildup coat that sensitive wire. The result? Poor fuel economy, sluggish throttle response, carbon buildup, and black exhaust smoke. Here's how to bring your MAF back to life. First, locate it in the intake tubing, usually just after the air filter box. Unplug the connector, remove the screws or clamps, and gently slide the sensor out. Now, and this part is critical, never touch the wire or film inside. It's as fragile as spider silk. Grab a can of MAF sensor cleaner, not brake cleaner or WD-40, and spray short bursts from a few inches away. Let the cleaner do the work. Don't wipe it. Once dry, reinstall the sensor and reconnect everything. For best results, disconnect the battery for about 15 minutes afterward, so the ECU can relearn the correct airflow data. In testing by Project Farm, cleaning a decade-old MAF sensor improved fuel economy by 7% and reduced throttle delay significantly. That's real performance, not snake oil. So if your car's been feeling lazy or your MPG dropped overnight, don't start replacing parts. Sometimes restoring your engine's power starts with cleaning the part that measures how it breathes. Sensor number 2, the coolant temperature sensor, CTS. If your car takes forever to warm up, burns too much fuel, or idles high long after startup, your coolant temperature sensor might be quietly sabotaging you. This little probe tells your ECU how hot the engine really is. And when it starts lying, your car starts running rich, wasting gas, and feeling sluggish even when fully warmed. Here's why. During cold starts, your engine runs rich on purpose, adding extra fuel so it doesn't stall. But when the CTS gets coated with oil film, corrosion, or scale, it begins to read colder than reality. Your ECU thinks the engine's still cold, so it keeps dumping fuel even after it's fully warmed. The result? Poor mileage, rough idle, hard warm starts, and a check engine light that never quite makes sense. Luckily, this is one of the easiest fixes you can do yourself. You'll find the coolant temp sensor threaded into the engine block or thermostat housing. Follow your upper radiator hose, and you'll see it. Before removing it, open the coolant cap to release pressure and drain a small amount of coolant to avoid spills. Then unplug the connector and use a wrench to carefully remove the sensor. Check the tip. If you see oily residue or green corrosion, that's the problem. Spray it with electronic contact cleaner, or MAP cleaner. Never scrape or sand it. Wipe it gently with a clean rag until the metal probe looks fresh again. Once dry, reinstall it with a bit of thread sealant or Teflon tape, refill the coolant, and start the engine. You'll notice faster warm-ups, smoother idle transitions, and better heater performance within minutes. In a study by Automotive Research Journal, cleaning a contaminated CTS corrected fuel mixture readings and restored idle efficiency by over 10%. It's an overlooked fix that can make an old engine behave like it just rolled out of the factory. Because when your ECU actually knows your engine's true temperature, it can finally stop guessing and start running smart again. Sensor number 1, the throttle position. Sensor TPS. If your car hesitates when you press the gas, feels like it's thinking before responding, or randomly surges at low speed, you're not imagining it. Those are classic signs of a dirty or glitchy throttle position sensor, often called the TPS. This sensor sits on the side of your throttle body and tracks exactly how far the throttle plate opens when you step on the pedal. That data tells the ECU how much fuel to inject at every moment, from gentle cruising to hard acceleration. But over time, dust, carbon, and oil residue sneak into the throttle housing and around the TPS shaft. The result? Inaccurate readings, delayed throttle response, or even misfires. When your TPS gets dirty, the ECU becomes confused about how much air is actually entering the engine. It tries to compensate, adding or removing fuel randomly. That's why you might feel your car jerk slightly, idle rough, or accelerate unevenly, even though the engine itself is fine. Fortunately, cleaning it is simple, and often feels like you replace the throttle body entirely. Locate your TPS. It's usually attached to the throttle body with 2 small screws. Unplug the electrical connector, but don't open the sensor itself. That will ruin its calibration. Spray electronic contact cleaner, or MAP cleaner, around the pivot area and the throttle linkage. Then, manually open and close the throttle plate a few times to work the cleaner inside. If your car has an electronic throttle, skip the manual movement and let the cleaner evaporate naturally. Once dry, plug the connector back in and start the engine. Let it idle for a few minutes while the ECU recalibrates the throttle position. Most drivers notice instant improvement, smoother pedal response, cleaner acceleration, and a stable idle. In fact, experienced tuners often clean the TPS whenever a car feels laggy, before replacing any parts. Because a dirty throttle sensor doesn't just confuse your engine, it makes every drive feel dull. So if you want your throttle to feel sharp again, this 5-minute cleaning trick might be the smartest maintenance you'll ever do. Bonus sensor, the intake air temperature. Sensor IAT. Here's one most people forget it even exists, yet it can quietly rob your engine of power and efficiency. The intake air temperature sensor, or IAT, measures how hot or cold the incoming air is. Your ECU uses that data to fine-tune fuel mixture and ignition timing for maximum performance. When the sensor's dirty, it starts lying, and your engine pays the price. Over time, oil mist from the PCV system, dust, and moisture cling to the sensor tip, forming an invisible layer of grime. That layer insulates the thermistor inside, making it respond slower or report the wrong temperature. Your ECU thinks the air is hotter than it really is, meaning it adds less fuel than needed. The result? Hesitation at low RPM, lean misfires, and that sluggish throttle response that makes your car feel tired. To fix it, find your IAT sensor, It's usually mounted on or near your air intake tube, sometimes combined with the MAP sensor. Disconnect the wiring plug and remove the sensor carefully. Clean the tip using MAP or electronic contact cleaner, spraying in short bursts to remove oil and dust. Never scrub or scrape the sensor. The coating is extremely delicate. Let it air dry completely before reinstalling. Once cleaned, your car immediately regains crisp throttle response and smoother idle. It's a 2-minute job that often feels like a full tune-up. Tests by your mechanic found that cleaning or replacing a fouled IAT restored accurate readings within 1 degree Celsius of factory spec, enough to fix hesitation and lean stumble on older engines. It's proof that sometimes the smallest sensor can make the biggest difference. So now you know the truth. Most aging engines don't die from wear and tear. They fade because their sensors get dirty and start lying to the computer that runs them. By cleaning just these 8 sensors and the bonus IAT, you're literally giving your car its memory back, helping it breathe, burn, and idle like it did when it was new. If you found this video helpful, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I post simple, real-world fixes that save you hundreds in repair costs. And drop a comment below. Have you tried cleaning any of these sensors before? Did you feel a difference? Let's compare results, because sometimes the best mechanic in the world is just a can of cleaner and a bit of patience.